This was a historic win, first win for a Democratic presidential candidate in Talbot since 1964. But key takeaways from an initial perspective, get out the vote worked. In addition, a strong moderate centrist candidate played well in Talbot County, obviously. But I do think this was an election about Trump. And Trump. There's a poster hanging in our office that says elections are won in the off season. 75% of the work is done, before the election. 25% of the work is actually the election season. Don't get me wrong. We had a record-breaking number of volunteers that came out to volunteer this year. 220 plus supporters and local Democrats came out, which I think is a record. We had 40 phone bankers alone. Talbot consistently led the state of Maryland in the phone banking numbers. I mean, we worked this county. I mean, that's just, a county with, as of August, it's probably changed in the run-up to the election, but as of August, 27,514 registered voters, 10,508 of them being Democrats, and this is the group that's leading the state of Maryland in direct voter contact numbers. I have to say, if you ask why did we win this year, it's because of the volunteers and it's because of the voters. In addition to the standard, we have to register voters, this, that, the other. We had to help the Board of Elections, both parties, educate the masses about the significant changes to the process of this year's election in terms of the main change being the fewer number of polling places or voting centers that were available in Talbot. So we dedicated a substantial amount of resources to voter education on that, as well as B, C, and D. Election night was frustrating, was worrisome, but it was also something that we had planned and prepared for. I mean, most voters did what their candidates recommended. The Biden campaign said vote early and vote by mail, and the Trump campaign said vote early and vote on election day. Really, COVID played a significant part in the message discipline for the Biden campaign. They made it all about COVID, all about health and safety, all about responsibility. They also ran a completely different campaign than the Trump administration. And I think you see the ramifications of that playing out in the House races across the country. The Trump campaign ran a standard election. They held campaign rallies. They did their standard direct voter contact operations, which is canvassing and phone banking. And canvassing in this regard is door knocking, right? Not counting ballots. The Democratic Party didn't necessarily do that. We certainly didn't in Talbot, and I haven't heard of many cases across the country. The Biden campaign definitely put their foot down and said, don't do it, regarding door knocking. I mean, that's the best way to get in contact with voters. You look at Mia Mason, who's outperformed every Democratic candidate except for Jesse Colvin. But she only underperformed in Talbot. She got 46%, I believe, and he got 51%. And then district-wide, she got 36%, and he got 38% of the vote. But Jesse Colvin spent $1.8 million in his campaign in 2018. And Mia Mason spent $70,000. I'm not trying to knock Jesse Colvin. I think he was a fantastic candidate. He's a great guy. I do think it makes you wonder what would happen. What would have happened if Jesse Colvin had run this year? There's a problem with our nation when the commander-in-chief candidate that Trump is still holds this following over a substantial portion of our population. No doubt in my mind that it's brought out the ugly parts of the very corrupted soul of our nation. I think it's cast a light on that. Yeah. But let's take our victories where we have them. We beat this back this time. It's a republic. It's a republic if we can keep it. And in 2020, we proved that we could keep it.